Hi, my name's Christine, and welcome to my podcast, Unmuzzled at 67. This is Series 3, and today is Episode 3. And today I'm going to be talking about living with a lack of self-esteem and a lack of self-worth. A bit of a serious one today. But thank you, first of all, for joining me. There's so many podcasts you could choose, and you've chosen me, and I'm so pleased. Thank you. I also want to welcome all the new followers that I have on Instagram, and also want to tell you that for the first time, one of the reels that Cam has put out has reached over 1,000 likes. So for me, this pensioner, that is quite a breakthrough, and I'm so grateful for all of your support. So let me do a quick recap on last week. And I was talking about changing mindset. I was setting out to change my thinking and behaviour that had negatively impacted on my life. And of course, I talked a lot about meditation. No apologies for that. It was the first action that I took to change my thinking, and by a mile has had the most or the biggest long-term impact on me. And I still meditate today, obviously. But actually, I was thinking about how much that I have learned about myself since I started doing this podcast. Because every week, like you, I watch the new episode that has come out. And through doing that and listening and watching my story, not living it, but watching it, has given me a whole new perspective and insight into myself. And now that I've told my story, I see my past issues quite differently. And I find myself labelling my issues as emotional. So you might think to yourself, well, for fuck's sake, anybody could see that. But actually, I didn't. I didn't see that at all, but I see it clearly now. Before I told my life story and watched it back, I just referred to myself as a bam. As that is how I behaved at times. Well, at times, not all the time. I was reckless, knee-jerk reactions. I he'd going at 100 miles an hour. Not all the time, but definitely far too much. I was mortified by my behaviour. I was always having to apologise to people for offending them. And I never learned from my mistakes. Why didn't I learn from my mistakes? Because I couldn't see what was going on. I was totally emotionally driven, and I just got carried away with whatever was going on. I didn't know why I behaved the way I did. I knew I couldn't control it, no matter how hard I tried. And then from that fucking cruise came the bonus of learning to meditate. And then from meditation came self-awareness. And that is where everybody's journey to change begins. My followers have also made me look at myself by sharing their own stories and their comments with me. And in some instances, their genuine concern for my survival, especially in some of the episodes in the last two series, was really touching. Some of those situations were really, really difficult. And they really picked up on that. And some of them have said that they love my honesty, they like my determination to get better. And all of this is so encouraging. It's so unexpected, and it's so welcome. And a big thanks to everybody who gets in touch with me, keeps me updated with themselves, asks me questions, because you have played a part in my recovery too. So let's get going with today's topic, living with low self-esteem and low self-worth. Now, there needs to be a kind of disclaimer put out here, because it's kind of attached but not attached to today's topic. I'm throwing something in at the end just to lighten the mood a wee bit. So Glasgow cabaret singing will be heard. You have been warned. Also, I want to say that on this particular episode, I'm giving some advice. Now, you know that's not me. I'm always saying, I'm only a pensioner. This is my experience. But I just decided that I'm only giving advice based on what I did. So it's all very much from my own personal experience. And I guess I just want to have a message to say, for fuck's sake, don't wait till you're 67 before you get a hold of your life. Don't underestimate the damage that low self-esteem and self-worth can do. It can fuck up your life. And if anybody knows that, it's me. So that's me said my disclaimer. I'm going to give a wee bit of advice. You take that as you find it. So, if you're sitting comfortably, then I'll begin. So it's the old, outside confidence 10, inside confidence 0 scenario, really. Acting as if you're super confident, but inside you're the opposite. You're fearful, anxious, not feeling good enough, feeling a bit stupid. You're trying to push down, I'm talking about, trying to push down all that negative stuff, but you can't. It keeps resurfacing. So just to back that up, I came across a brilliant quote from, who else? Sigmund Freud, the very man. And I posted it on Instagram last week. And this is what it was. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive, and they will come forth later in uglier ways. So what he's really saying is, tell your story, face yourself, or it could be self-destructive. You have been warned. So let's start with self-esteem or low self-esteem. Where does it come from? And how the fuck did I get this too? There's various explanations offered for this, and any individual will be able to pick out which one refers to them. So it can come, as always, from childhood. Difficulty meeting your parents' expectations, unhappy childhood, maybe your teachers or your parents were super critical. Can be unresolved past traumas, emotions, experiences. It's an overall feeling that you're just not good enough. In relationships, low self-esteem can give rise to jealousy or insecurity, questioning your worthiness, fear your partner will be attracted to someone else and leave you. It can also make you feel incompetent, inadequate, constantly worried about making mistakes and letting people down. It really is a lack of confidence. My own experience was of an overcritical mother. I could do nothing right. I was told I was an embarrassment to the family and I was always letting them down. I always felt I was on the outside looking in, and I didn't feel welcome in this family. I was the black sheep. And my dad said nothing, which means he said everything. So these previous examples I've given you as the root of low self-esteem can lead to a person having negative core beliefs. That means that just really means that, your very basic beliefs are negative about yourself. Never underestimate the negative impact low self-esteem can have on your life. It can ruin your life. On the upside, they say that self-esteem peaks between 60 and 70. Well, I can definitely agree with that, because what's given me confidence is my life experience. I'm comfortable in the world, and so because of that, I have actual proper confidence. I'm more relaxed in the world these days. I've found my place. I don't take life so seriously. And of course, I meditate regularly. That keeps me calm and rational, with very few knee-jerk reactions now and very little evidence of making fast mental decisions. But I have to watch myself. I have to be self-aware. but having more slowed down thinking gives me a fighting chance to catch any BAM behaviour resurfacing. So what about self-worth? How's that? Is that different? What does that look like? So self-worth is really like attacking yourself negatively. It's about always saying negative things about yourself and the fact that you think you're more inferior to everybody else. If you were going to describe yourself, you would say things like, I'm fat, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, I'm unlovable. And you only focus on your negatives, never on your achievements. So really, it's a negative, absolute perception of yourself. And both low self-esteem and low self-worth can cause social anxiety, depression, eating disorders. Now, here's something that we need to, if you have either of these as well as I had, this is something that really helped me to deal with it. And that is, nobody is born with these beliefs. They develop as a result of your experiences that you have had throughout your life. So it's your life experiences that have given you a lack of self-worth and a lack of self-esteem if you have it. So what do you do? What do you do with all this stuff? Where are you going to start? You've got to start with self-awareness. You've got to look at your behaviour. You can't change if you don't see yourself as you really are. As always, be brutal. Confront yourself. There's no moving forward without doing that. It honestly is the first step. Write your story and tell somebody. Remember what I said earlier, you're not born with this. Your life experiences have brought it to you, so fix it. You're not mental. Though you might behave like that at times. I can only say, in my opinion, that if you don't deal with low self-esteem and or low self-worth, it can fuck up your life. And that's from someone who knows. I did the work. I got the results. But I'm far from perfect. But I'm in a different place. I'm in a better place. And I can trust myself these days. I can trust my behaviour. One of the other things you need to do is meditate. Of course, you know all about that. And with practice, that will rationalise your thinking and keep you calm. The other thing here is about accepting yourself and embracing yourself. And I really struggled with that. And it was a hard one for me. And it still can be. I struggled for a long, long time trying to accept and to come to terms with my parenting. You know, the mother that I was. And it took a long, long time. Lots of tears and snotters. Lots of apologies to my son, who was very gracious and was like, of course, you know, and accepted my apologies, of course. But still, it took a long time. And sometimes, you know, people would say to me, but you know, Christine, you were a different person then. And I said, I know, but the damage is done, whether you're a fucking different person or not. You know, you have had a real negative impact on your child growing up. So I had to kind of come to terms with the fact that I had to say to myself, just keep working on yourself, Christine. Just keep working. This is going to take a wee bit longer, but just keep working. And I remember saying to my therapist, I'll never forgive myself for what I've done. And she said, well, I hope you do in time. Just keep working on it. And I do feel that I'm kind of getting there. I'm not there, but I'm kind of going in the right direction. If you're like me, all I can say is start. Just start. Stop accepting a life like this. It's fucking torture. It's not fully living. And don't wait as long as I did. Although I'll tell you what, I fully intend to claim back the life that I should have had and be who I should have been by continually working on myself. There's a whole new life waiting for me after all this work's been done. Replacing these old ingrained habits with new ones create new ways of thinking and being has made all that possible. My advice for anyone looking to improve their lives is to strip yourself back. Face yourself by carrying out a fearless moral inventory until you confront yourself and you see yourself for who you really are, and then you can start your journey. So let's do a quick recap how I got my self-worth and low esteem under control. I'm only talking about a couple of the things that I did. There's so much that I did that I want to talk about next time, but these are the main things that I did that had the biggest impact for me. So number one, be self-aware. Write your story, tell someone your story. Do this moral inventory of yourself. That's hard. I've had to do that in AA and it's fucking really hard. But if you don't face yourself, you can't move forward. Meditate, well, you know all about that. And accept and embrace yourself by doing A and B that I mentioned earlier. But as I said, there are other practices that I will talk about the next time. But I did want to mention something which is kind of to do with this and not to do with this. One of the things that is suggested for you if you have low self-esteem is to get yourself out of your comfort zone. Do something entirely different and shock yourself and push yourself into situations that you find uncomfortable. So the backstory to this wee bit of the story is that when I was young, I'm talking about 8, 9 years old, up till I was 12, said to my mum, I want to be an actress. She says, oh, it's a fucking stupid. She says, people like you are going to work in an office and fucking like it. So that was the end of that conversation. That was never brought up again. But I still wanted to be an actress. I still thought I just, when you're a wee kid, you want to be a nurse or a vet or this or that. And I wanted to be an actress. So just after COVID, moving forward a little bit, just after COVID, I had been doing a job part-time as an extra, working on film sets and some TV thing. I didn't do a lot, actually, but I did do some. And I met this guy when I was on a film set. It was out at the studios at Cumbernauld. And he was the funniest guy I've ever met, ever. Just a typical Glaswegian guy. Brilliant stories. And I was telling him some of my stories and we just sort of spent the day together. He was so funny. He says to me, you know what, Kristen? He said, you would fucking love Lenny Mullen's acting classes. I said, what, the Lenny Mullen? And he went, aye. He says, Lenny's got an acting class in Bath Street on a Wednesday. It's 2:30. Oh, I says, I'm fucking... He says, he says, he'll really fucking push you out your comfort zone. You need to get ready for his classes. I says, how much are they? He says, a tenner. Oh, I says, that's the boy for me. I'm going. So next week, I'm down at Lenny Mullen's acting class. Oh, by the way, if you don't know who Lenny Mullen is, he has an extremely famous brother called Peter Mullen. And Peter Mullen is probably an accomplished actor, as was Lenny. And Peter also directed and produced a movie called Ned's. So you might know him through that. But within the sort of Scottish actoring world, I mean, these two brothers are incredibly well known. So I turned up for Lenny's acting class in Bath Street. And I was full of it. I was desperate. I couldn't wait to get through the door. I didn't know what I was letting myself in for. So in I go, and Lenny's got everybody jumping about the place and just pointing at people and saying, right, you go up and be a tree, or you go up and you do this and you do that. And he'd everybody doing different things. And every now and again, he would put people into groups and say, right, you four, and you four. And he would say, I want you to make a scenario about a drug deal. I want you to make a scenario about this and that. And what I was utterly impressed with was everybody that was there had been going for a long time. So I was the oldest by a mile, and they all knew exactly what to do. So within seconds, they were going, right, you do this and you do that. And everybody had a part to play in this little scenario that we had to do. And then you had to present it. So you'd maybe 5 or 10 minutes to put something together very quickly. You would maybe had a couple of lines that you had to do within a scenario that had just literally been created, and you had to perform it in front of the rest of the group. I was a bit kind of shitting myself. I was like, oh, fuck's sake. I didn't think he was, you're so exposed. So this kind of happened towards the end of the class. And I was absolutely shitting myself. It was kind of, that way where you're looking for your coat and your bag thinking, is there any way I could go over to that coat and get to fuck out of here? This is just too much for me. But suddenly I kind of, I thought, you're on the stage. That's Lenny Mullen. Fucking just go for it. But every so often, rather than saying your part, Lenny would ask you, he'd say, you sing it. So he said that to me. You sing it. So I had to sing my lines. So try to remember what my lines were. Let me take a wee glass of water, people. Steady my nerves a wee bit before I start singing to you. So mine, I was waiting for somebody to waiting for my drug dealer. Was it on a tree? I can't remember. I was waiting on a drug dealer, and he said, "You sing yours." So this is what I did. I'm waiting for my drug dealer, and everybody just stopped, and Lenny went. So after that, people were kind of, I never got invited into anybody's group after that. And the main thing that happened after that was that rather than sitting at the back, I was fucking sitting right at the front. Because doing that wee bit of cabaret singing, my lines, not a song, but actually my lines, just, I don't know, it just gave me a different level of confidence, and I couldn't wait to get back. I just went every week. I think it lasted 6 or 8 weeks. It was absolutely brilliant. And talk about giving you confidence. And it honestly is the thought of things that can sometimes stop you doing it. And there I was going from a frightened woman in her 60s thinking, fuck, these people know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing in here. This is too much, running about kidding on you're in a field, and here comes the rain, and oh, look at this. And he just had us doing everything within seconds. So you had to forget about your ego. You just had to do what Lenny told you to do. And if you didn't do it right, say, what the fuck are you doing? So it was very public. It was very in your face. And I just couldn't wait to get back the second week. So I guess I'm kind of saying to you there that it's good to get out of your comfort zone, much as it can be quite daunting. And maybe that's an extreme example. But for me, it just was brilliant. And I'm so glad that I did it. Did I get anything out of it? No, really. But I just got so much confidence. And after that, and, just kind of making yourself look silly and in front of other people, just nothing really fazed me at all. So I just want to say it can be a good thing to get out of your comfort zone. And that's one of the recommended things you should do to help raise your self-esteem. So what an end. That's the end to this episode. So let me end by saying, it really is. It's never too late to take action. It's never too late to stop accepting half a life. I would like more than that for you. It can be time to reinvent yourself. Time to become a better version of yourself. Remember what the man says, David Goggins, nobody's fucking coming to help you. It's going to be about you. It's going to be down to you. There's no magic formula. The only person that can change your situation for the better is you. So, last thing, it is difficult. Reversing irrational beliefs about yourself takes time. It takes effort and it takes practice. And you need to be in it for the long haul. But is that not what life is all about? There is no magic wand for life. If you want to make these changes, especially for someone like me trying to eradicate 40 years of ingrained thinking and habits, it's not easy. But if you're so unhappy with who you are and what you're doing, I think you will do anything to be better and to have a better life. That's certainly my experience anyway. So thank you for being with me today. It's been great to have your company, and I look forward to seeing you next week.